Hello, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art form wasn't enough, and happy Halloween, everybody. Let's celebrate this year by talking about another week entry in a family-friendly horror franchise. It's from the same people who did Alpha's Magical Christmas and Addams Family Reunion. So you know I'm just over the moon about this one. This is Casper, A Spirited Beginning. Now for some backstory, Casper started as a character in a book called The Friendly Ghost in 1938, which was later turned into a cartoon short in 1945 under Paramount. Both of these set in stone the same basic setup used for the character many years later. Casper is a friendly young boy-type ghost who just wants to make friends, but due to him being a ghost, he naturally scares everyone he meets, aside from a handful of characters who can see the good in him. The character has become very popular since then and has appeared in a variety of different media formats. Merchandising, written media, television, video games, and of course, a half-animated, half-live-action film. I haven't seen this film in years, so in preparation for this review I watched it, and I think it holds up okay. It's nothing great, but it's not really a bad movie either. It has some decent acting, fantastic set design, and pretty good special effects. Plus, it has Christina Ricci, so you could easily pretend that this movie's alternate title is Casper Meets Wednesday Addams. I also give the movie credit for having a little bit of edge to it, something that previous Casper media lacked, not being afraid to be a little bit more mature while still maintaining its family-friendly content, aside from a few questionable moments. The point is, out of all the live-action animated cash-in movies based on beloved characters, you could certainly do far worse. Since the first movie did very well at the box office, and they did briefly mention a little bit of Casper's backstory, maybe there is a little bit of wiggle room to expand upon that. So, who knows, maybe this prequel will actually do a good job going into explanation about... This is Casper, A Spirited Beginning. Because when you think Casper, who doesn't immediately think rap songs that kinda sorta not really sample Casey and the Sunshine Band, right? The film proper begins with Casper on a train, taking passengers to the afterlife. And get ready for this animation, people. It's gonna be all over the movie. Yeah, gone is the fluidity of the animation in the first one. This is apparently what a straight-to-video budget will do to you. The designs themselves aren't too bad, I guess, but the animation is just so stiff to look at. It may not be as bad as Video Brinquedo, per se, but trust me, it's almost in the same ballpark. After asking what exactly is going on, Casper ends up getting thrown off the train. And then, with no proper build-up, Casper just floats over into a small American town. No scene to build up to any of this. No scene of him wandering through some scary wooded area, all by his lonesome, and then discovering this place. No, just have him float into town through the power of editing. Oh, hi, Ben Stein. Good to see you after you cameoed at the beginning of the first movie. Also, if you ever wanted to see Ben Stein convey fear in a movie, this is the movie for you, apparently.
Pardon me, sir. I'm new here and...
Well, welcome to Deedstown, Sonny.
What kind of scream was that? So yeah, if you're familiar with Casper, this plays out exactly like you'd expect. He comes in with the best of intentions, and everyone panics and heads for the hills as soon as they lay eyes on him. Although, we are 3 minutes into the movie, and they decide to throw in this little addition.
My feet! I am the ghost!
You were interacting with ghosts on the train earlier in the movie, and assuming that there was some kind of off-screen passage of time from him getting off the train and him floating into town that we didn't see, how did he never once look down at his hands or something and notice that he was a ghost until this very second? Well, enough of that. Let's get to the obligatory human characters. Oh, and take a shot if you've heard any of this before. We have a loner kid who has no friends and is picked on by bullies, who has a single dad who lost his wife some time ago. The dad is often too preoccupied with work and is never there to spend time with his kid. His job involves tearing down some kind of beloved landmark that's important to the locals to replace it with a mini-mall. And the leader of the protesting locals is not only someone the son already knows, but is someone who starts off as a rival to the dad until they inevitably get together at the end of the movie. Everybody got that? Good, because it's going to take up a majority of the movie. So to specify all of that, this is our main kid character, Chris. He has a single father, played by Steve Guttenberg, who is almost never there for him because he's too preoccupied with work. In this case, he's part of the contracting team that are going to be tearing down the local haunted house, the Applegate Mansion, a beloved and important landmark to the rest of the town, and the one leading the protests against it being destroyed is Chris's teacher, played by Lori Loughlin, aka Aunt Becky from Full House. Though, I will give this movie some credit, they at least have Chris stand up for himself against the bullies instead of just sitting there and taking it.
Chris is reading about himself. You guys really need new material. Shut up, geek, or I'll pulverize you. Pulverize? Wow, Brock, a three-syllable word. Why on earth the Principal Ray behold your back and grave?
As they make it to school, the bullies try to pull a prank on Chris, but it backfires and the prank ends up happening to the principal. Of course, they get in trouble for this, and they're about ready to beat Chris up, but Aunt Becky then steps in and breaks it up. And for some reason, she blames Chris for not standing up for himself, even though that's what he was doing just a few minutes ago.
I know you didn't do anything. In fact, I know that Brock and his pals have been picking on you for some time.
No big deal, they're losers.
No, but you've got to stand up for your rights.
Or you could do something about it. You are a teacher, after all.
Hi.
Wow. TV cameras aren't usually so flattering.
Way to go, movie. Just make it a little bit more obvious that they're going to get together by the end. Meanwhile, at the front lines of the protest, we see the 3 resident ghosts who haunt the Applegate mansion, and it just so happens to be the ghostly trio. You know, Casper's uncles from the first movie. Well, get this. This movie hits the reset button on that because they have no relation to Casper this time around. They're doing what they do best and terrorizing the locals, all the while making some puns.
I learned this trick from my mummy.
This is a no parking zone. Well, at least you have a sunroof now. Before you run off, pal, you better check under there. Under where? Exactly. A mega onesie.
Oh, the puns. Shannon from Shannon Reviews and Ina from HoloLive would be so proud.
I know a lot about ghosts. Let me hang with ya.
Hang? You're a little late for that event, kid.
So the train from the beginning of the movie drops off its passengers into the afterlife as they're welcomed into a program meant to educate new ghosts on how to scare the fleshies, as they call humans. And they're welcomed by this guy, Snivel, voiced by everyone's favorite comedian from the 90s, Pauly Shore.
Okay, over the next few weeks, you, the rookies, will be learning the A-B-C's of the ghost life.
As the other ghosts arrive, he notices that Casper seems to be missing, which is naturally upsetting to his boss and the big man of the ghost world, Kibosh, voiced by legendary James Earl Jones. And so he tells Snivel it'll be bad news if there's a ghost floating around without any proper scare training, like 3 other ghosts who happened to slip past him before, so he sends Snivel to go looking for Casper. Back with the humans, we see Gutenberg getting instructions to try and keep the ghost rumors under wraps by the mayor, played by the late great Rodney Dangerfield. Can it really be considered rumors if a majority of people in the town have seen the ghosts in action with their own 2 eyes? Anywho, Casper and Chris finally meet and they bond over feeling neglected. Casper because he's a ghost, and Chris because most of the adults in his life. Chris decides to introduce Casper to Stretch, Stinky, and Fatso as they decide that they'll teach Casper on how to be a ghost, as a way to prove that they can also teach how to scare without Kibosh's methods. So the trio try to teach Casper how to turn invisible, how to fly, and how to phase through walls. Completely ignoring the fact that he flew 3 minutes into the movie and he phased through a wall at the beginning of this scene.
Casper's in Deedstown, and you'll never guess who's with them. The ghostly trio.
You'd better not be wrong.
There's more! They're teaching Casper their own unorthodox,
Oh, and may I say, illegal, ghostly techniques.
they hope to use Casper to put you in your place.
Don't even say those words.
To be fair, I think a lot of people wanted to do that to Pauly Shore after Biodome, Chairman of the Board, and really anything that he's in that isn't the Goofy movies.
Look, little guy, we know deep down inside you're really gruesome and horrible, but we're just not seeing it.
Besides, if you don't lie, it makes us look bad.
Back with Chris, his dad is too preoccupied with the mansion, so he misses the school science fair. Parent missing important school event, that's another cliche, take another shot. So Lori Loughlin asks Chris if his dad will be interested in meeting her for a one-on-one at their place for a parent-teacher conference. They also briefly establish that this girl, who's the bully kid Brock's girlfriend, actually has feelings for Chris, but it really doesn't go anywhere, so don't really worry about that one. Casper shows up at Chris's school and they decide that they'll train him on how to be a ghost themselves, and they end up pranking the bullies in the process. Oh, and also this part happens.
Think think you're gonna need this right about now.
I need you right now!
Sexual innuendo.
Anyway, with the demolition team scared off to go near the mansion, Gutenberg ends up getting outside assistance with a one-man demolition crew played by another comedy legend, Michael McKean. Wait a minute. Michael McKean, Steve Gutenberg, throw in a robot, and this is officially Short Circuit 3.
Very few problems that can't be solved with a suitable application of high explosives. Tomorrow, that place will be bite-sized.
Do you think you can put this out, please?
Huh? Oh, don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, this guy's totally trustworthy. Nothing bad could possibly come from any of this. It's like asking Cherry Bomb to throw a birthday party for a 5-year-old. So with Casper feeling a little more confident with his newly found ghost skills, he decides he'll put them to good use with this convenience store undergoing a robbery. And oh hi, Sherman Helmsley. Well, at the very least, George Jefferson got a paycheck out of this. And check this out. Casper scares the robber, who then runs out of the store and knocks himself out by running into a street lamp. Dumbest convenience store robber since Meet Dave. Ready for another shot? Because here's another 90s family movie cliche. Aunt Becky shows up at the house for the parent-teacher conference, but Steve Gutenberg is out on duty. So to stall for time, we get some shenanigans while Chris is trying to hide Casper from his teacher. Why? Because if E.T. could do it, every mediocre family movie involving an otherworldly creature could do it too, apparently. Since Steve Gutenberg is a no-show, she heads off, instead of just waiting a couple more minutes in case he does happen to show up. Meanwhile, McKean is planting a bomb inside the mansion for the big third-act climax later in the movie. Back with these guys, Gutenberg shows up, and just as Chris is ready to unveil Casper to his dad, the ghostly trio show up and takes him away to the mansion.
I know, we probably went to the Applegate mansion. Let's go!
That Sheila Fistograph put you up to this, right? I'm gonna have a talk with your principal about it. This is ridiculous!
Why can't you believe me? Mom would've!
That's it! You have an overactive imagination. It is time to grow up. This, and this, this. Look at this stuff.
Those are mine!
This is trash!
No!
I think that's bad. See what happened to the kid down the street after he sang rock music in front of his hyper-religious dad, Meatloaf.
You better shut your mouth, you better watch your tone. You got it for a week with no telephone. Don't let me hear you cry, don't let me hear you moan. You gotta praise the Lord when you're in my home.
Out of anger, Chris tries to run away from home, but he's apprehended by the bullies who leave him for dead in the mansion. You know, they don't know there's a bomb in there yet, but that's still a little bit morbid, don't you think? The next morning, the ghostly trio get caught by Kibosh. You know, if it was really that easy, why didn't he search for them the second they went off the grid? Oh, and I forgot to mention Kibosh's big running gag for the movie. All throughout, he's been saying Casper's name wrong.
Little snot noses named Carter. So, where's Chrysler? Now, to find your little protege, Tanker.
No, Kibosh, don't! Damn it, you had to say their names out loud, didn't you? Steve Gutenberg finally realizes that Chris has gone missing, and it's here where he comes face to face with Casper, and he realizes that he's been a bit of a deadbeat father this whole time and needs to spend more time with his son, yada yada. Included in this scene is Gutenberg attempting to interact with an animated character that's clearly not there, and he seems like he's officially given up trying to act in this movie. It's like that one scene in Star Wars Holiday Special when they zoom in on Harrison Ford's face. Ladies and gentlemen, the day Steve Gutenberg realized what movie he was in.
Find him. You need each other.
You're right, Casper. We do need each other, and we love each other.
The two realize that there's a bomb in the mansion, so they hightail it over there. Gutenberg accepts a ride from Lori Loughlin. They get there in the nick of time. They try to stop Michael McKean from pressing the detonator. He temporarily knocks out Gutenberg, but Aunt Becky stops him by ramming her VW Bug into the tree that Michael McKean is in. When we get this line that I never thought I'd hear in a Casper movie.
We did it!
Negatory, you sniveling liberal pansies.
Just as the bomb is about ready to go off, Chris and Gutenberg get out of the mansion in the nick of time, and Casper subdues the explosion by eating the bomb.
That's a spicy
So Mayor Rodney Dangerfield, out of nowhere, decides he's not going to tear the mansion down after all. Gutenberg and Lori Loughlin get together. Kai Bosch decides he'll let Casper and the ghostly trio off the hook since they saved the day. And because they're a family, even though they're not related and they're not his uncles, seriously, yeah, why did they go with this change?
A family has to stick together for all time.
Yeah, you're stuck with Cato.
That's Casper.
Oh, he said it, ladies and gentlemen, he said his name. The ghostly trio take care of the bullies, off-screen, mind you. Chris introduces Casper to that girl that likes him, and we end with Casper getting his proper title.
Casper, the pleasant poltergeist. Let's just stick with Casper, the friendly ghost.
So that was Casper, A Spirited Beginning, and yeah, that really sucked. This movie has the same glaring flaw that made Addams Family Reunion bad. It lacks any of the charm that the films that came before it did. Say what you will about the first Casper movie, at least it tried, especially more than this ever did. This movie is just bogged down with cliches that are either boring or annoying. The live-action cast are either too wooden or way too over the top with their performances. And for a prequel, this really didn't do anything to connect it to the first one. The mansion isn't the same, the ghostly trio aren't related to Casper, and we never actually learn anything about Casper's past. And that wouldn't be a problem if the movie wasn't marketed with that as the main selling point. At least the following Casper movies chose to ignore the first one and do their own thing. This was trying to be a proper follow-up without doing anything building off of what they established in the first movie. Add to that a waste of some pretty talented voice actors, some really bad special effects, and, of course, Pauly Shore, and you have an utterly pointless prequel. Will I ever end up reviewing more Casper movies or other Casper media sometime in the future? Probably. But until then, I'm going to try and enjoy the rest of my Halloween as it is. So, I'm the Media Wiz, because one art... Yeah. Oh god, no. This is gonna involve one of those storyline things that we reviewers do every so often, isn't it?
Casper, the friendly ghost, the friendliest ghost you know. No grown-up might look at it with fright. The children are loving so. Casper, the friendly ghost, he couldn't be bad or mean. You know he jump and play, sing and dance all day. The friendliest ghost you ever seen. He always say hello.
That was Casper, I tell ya. He's going around town doing good deeds.
Oh no, well then you better go and stop him then. That's how he sounds. That's how you sound, you undead bonehead.